Request. This is a quick run through of the chapter 22 noun ID as in far as the case and use. So let's go through each of them, and I had previous issues of a Loom recording, but I think I've solved them now, and so let's hope that this works. So let's start with the first. Jam dies erat. Now it was day. Prima luce. Luce comes from the Latin word, of course, right here. Lux, lucus, luci, lucim, luce. And so seeing as it is luce, modified by prima, it is in the ablative, by, with, because of, from, in, on, at, first light. And so it would be your ablative showing time. Auxilio. Now, auxilio is of a second declension, but you could see that it could be either dative or it could be ablative. And actually, it's neuter, auxilium. So whenever you have something that would be dative or ablative and you do not know it, and in the plural, of course, this will always be an issue, you go and look to see what kind of verb you're dealing with. And you're looking for what is called a ditransitive verb. Remember that they include give, show, speak, or tell. Because with those, let's take the word give, it is that you give something in the accusative to or for something in the dative. The accusative is the direct object, and then the dative thing is the receiver of the direct object, which is what we call the indirect object. Extrahit is not one of those. It means drug out, did drag out. And so most likely that's not dative. And so at first light, the coachman dragged out the carriage out of the ditch. And so by, with, because of, from, in, on, at, the help. Auxilio here, I think, is ablative. And it is giving the means. So it is the ability that they are providing of the slaves. And then remember, I've said before, whenever you see a short is, you're almost guaranteed, unless it's a fake ending, you're almost guaranteed that it's going to be genitive singular. Do not confuse them, of course, with the long is, which is dative or ablative. And so with the help of the slaves of the innkeeper. Ridario, we're in that same position as before, in which it was an O there and an O there. Well, let's go look at the verb. It is tradiderunt, which means hand over, which is kind of like give. So let's see if there is a direct object accusative, and then ridario could function as the receiver, the dative indirect object receiver of that direct object. So then the slaves handed over the suitcases of the Cornelians to the coachman, and thus indeed they received those suitcases. Militis, we're in that position again when we look at it, that it is going to have a short is, and so it is genitive, probably showing you the possession, a part of whole, and so it says, he was telling, and it's a sextus, he was telling the story, so that's the accusative direct object, to Cornelia, so therefore she's the dative indirect object, but it's the story of the soldier, or the soldier apostrophe s story, so therefore it is probably going to be then your genitive that shows possession. Mandata, so Eucleides was giving orders. And we go up here, and it is mandatum, mandati, mandato, and down here you can see in the plural mandata and mandata. So either the orders are doing something, or did do something, or somebody does something to the orders, and I think we just saw that Eucleides was giving them, so therefore you can tell what case it is since they are functioning as the direct object. Cuncti, cuncti is a long I. It is either dative singular, or I should say genitive singular, or nominative plural. And so in this instance, it is nominative plural because they are doing the action, and it's all substantized, as in all the family members. They came out of the inn and they climbed into the minivan. Nolite cadere, don't fall into the ditch. By looking at fossam, the only thing it could be with that am ending is accusative, and it is the object of the preposition. There are only two cases that can function as objects of the preposition. One of them is accusative, the other is ablative. Havenas with a long as, looking at our chart, that should be easy to see. There's only one spot, and that would be, of course, accusative and plural. And here, then the coachman did take up sumo sumeri sumpsi, the reins. It answers him or what he took up. So therefore, the accusative direct object. On the journey, Sextus explained all things, neuter, plural, direct object, de mure, about the mouse. And the mouse is from mus, muris, muri, murim, mure. So mus would be the nominative. Mur, M-U-R, is the stem onto which you put these third declension endings. It is ablative. And why is it ablative? Because, again, it is the object of the preposition. So here you see in plus an accusative object, and here you can see de plus an ablative object, because de requires its objects to be in the ablative. Uxori comes from the Latin word that means wife, and here you can see it. Uxor, uxoris, uxori. So the only thing it could be there is dative, and let's see what it's doing. Cornelius told the soldier, apostrophe S, soldier's story, or the story of the soldier, to his wife. And so again, the fabulam is the accusative direct object, and uxori, receiving that direct object, would be your dative indirect object. Urbi. Urbi here is the dative because it comes from, and we can see it here, erps, urbis, urbi, urbim, urbe, and so forth and so on. And I'm going to try, hopefully, to successfully pull up this really quickly. I should have done so already, so I apologize, but it should not take that much time. Let's go and look in here, and hopefully that I'm not going back and forth so quickly the computer won't freak out. And there we go. That's exactly what I want. And these are the principal parts. Now, when you go and scroll down, there we are, and I get to group 4, it says all of these take datives. That means that, let's say, for example, dokeo dokere. Let's take as a direct or as the object mother. So let's say I teach mom. Matrim, it would have an accusative, or scare, tereo, I scare mom. It would be an accusative matrim. Or let's say we go with welcome, excipio, I welcome mom. It would be an accusative. But for all of these verbs, instead of taking accusative objects, they take dative objects. And apropinquo is first and foremost in this list. And so when we go back, and let's see if we cannot successfully do so, scrolling down, there we are, then now they were approaching the city. And it is in the dative case because of that being a special verb that requires a dative object. Pueri, if you scroll up, you will see that it is either of a singular boy or the boys do something. And so here, the boys suddenly spotted, so they did something. Nemo is very tricky. People look at Nemo and they think they see an O ending. They do not see an O ending. Instead, Nemo is located right here. It is the variant and doesn't have any ending whatsoever. Nemo, nemenis, nemeni, nemenim, nemene. And so therefore the nobody should be doing something. And thus it says nobody lives there. Nobody is doing the living. Est sepulchrum. Sepulchrum is either here, sepulchrum, or sepulchrum. But you can know which one because of est. Est is a linking verb that will link a subject, nominative, to a complement, nominative. It is the tomb. Kiwium. Kiwium here is the third declension word. Kiwis. So kiwis with a fake ending. Kiwis, kiwi, kiwim, kiwi, kiways, kiwium. So it is in the genitive plural. And it says here, heek with a long I, there are the tombs of many and of famous citizens. The tombs of citizens. So the citizens are possessing those tombs. Quod, because non licet. It is not loud. Now here, romanis, it is in the dative or the ablative, romanis, romanis. And you can tell here because when you say it is not permitted, it is not allowed, non licet, to have something, here that's telling you for whom it's not allowed. And we call that the dative of reference. So it is not allowed for the Romans to have tombs intra urbem, inside a preposition, the city, object of said preposition. Almost done, only a couple more. Patri here, of course, comes from the Latin word for pater. So you can see it, pater, patris, patri, and Marcus responded nothing to his father. And so here it is either dative of reference, but I would more so think, seeing as the father received the nothing, it becomes the receiver of that direct object, nothing. Then finally, tempore. Tempore here, Alexa, stop. Tempore here is obviously modified by brevi, but tempore in and of itself, when we look in the chart, would be here, tempus, temporis, temporii, tempus, and then again, tempore. And why brevi? Remember, all third declension adjectives are I stem, so brevis, brevis, brewe, but if it were to modify tempore, it would be brevi. So that's why it's brevi tempore. Different ending because brevis is an I stem as a third declension adjective and tempus is not, but they still agree in case, number, and gender. And so here again, it is the ablative of time, in a short time. So hopefully this will work and it will upload to Loom and it will help you out way.